Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure.
I was hoping that we'd have a chance to chat. I wasn't sure what the schedule was going to be like.
Yes, but fortunately.
Yeah, I know exactly. So,
okay.
Jean-Philippe.
Yes.
Great to meet you.
Jason, it's the same.
So we're here in,
and great to play with you as well.
Great to play with you too. Yeah, and I've followed you for years in various groups from the. How do I pronounce it?
L'orchestre de contrebasse.
Okay, my French pronunciation is lacking, but so I've watched, and it's so fun to see that bass, and to actually. See you doing it here and doing it, so it's really cool. And is this your first time at this Rabath Institute, Los Angeles?
My first time here.
Okay,
not in Los Angeles. I've been 3 years ago in Los Angeles. But for this Rabat camp, yes.
Yeah. So
thanks to Cielito.
Yeah. When did you first meet her?
Last year at Biarritz at the academy, double bass academy, led by Thierry Barbet. In Biarritz and Marin Béat.
Okay. Okay. So I don't even know where to start. Just tell me a little bit about your background. What town did you grow up in? When did you start playing music?
Well, I grew up in Caen, in Normandy, and when I was a kid, I did a little piano, like many kids, and with an old lady and kind of thing, and it was not very exciting.
Yeah, sure.
So I quit. And it came out that I had a friend, a very good friend of mine, very good musician, piano player. And when I turned 18 years old, he asked me to play the double bass so we can play together. It's a kind of frequent story for bass player. Yeah. And so I started. And my first teacher was a wonderful man. His name was Jean-Paul Massé, and it was in Bordeaux, in south of France, at the conservatory for 2 years with Jean-Paul Massé. And I love it, and because also thanks to this relationship with Jean-Paul, he was a very good man and good teacher. And then I moved to Paris because I won how would you say, concours, something like
competition or
competition, a small competition, jazz competition, and it's allow me to go to Paris, where I studied. I have been studying with Jacques Cazoran at the Versailles Conservatory for 3 years, and at that time we started l'orchestre de contrebasse in 1981.
Okay, wow.
So I was still at the conservatory.
Okay.
So I was practicing the bass for 3 years. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was my 4th year. Yes, which was quite new still, very new. But and the first music I ever wrote in my life was for l'orchestre de contrebasse, and in fact it's a tune you play with us. It's Béréber Cornichon.
Really?
This little valse. Which it's the first ever tune, song I have ever composed.
First piece for bass or first piece ever? Had you written
both?
Really?
Wow. First piece ever.
Okay.
I mean, of course, first piece ever. So
yeah. Do you typically compose at the piano, or do you compose at the bass, or do you? What do you do? I always think it's interesting how people work.
Of course, it's interesting. I would say when mainly it's at the piano, but I wrote some pieces only for when I wrote for the l'orchestre de contrebasse. So right now, very often the principal idea is coming from the bass. For instance, the pieces when I wrote the pieces Cora Song, which is a piece where we are the 6th bass upright down, and it's like an African song, and we hide behind the bass and we are strolling like that, and this was a typical song you cannot write on the table. Someday I would like to write a new song for l'orchestre de contrebasse, and look at my bass, and we were always looking for new sounds and new ideas, scenic ideas, and when what can I do? Maybe I can take the bass up, down, say it like that.
Yeah.
And look at that in the mirror. It's fun. It looks like African mask, and in fact, when you tried what was possible to play with, the sound was like the Cora.
Yeah.
This kind of thing I really like. Also, it reminds me my second composition in my life after Berry Burr Condition. The second one was La Moto, which was something I did where I turned off my E string, and I was wearing gloves. I put some very from bicycle man, not like Harley Davidson, you know.
Right.
And I did a ride with some at a certain point some policemen were. And the policemen were, of course, with the bass, and I was boom, boom, with the bass. It's possible you can find it on internet now, like La Moto.
I will hunt that down. The L'Orchestre de Contrabass. Yeah, I mean, I think of you all as like real pioneers in the bass ensemble. Well, I mean, that was some of the first back when YouTube was starting to get going. I mean, I remember seeing what you're doing. I just thought I'd never seen a bass ensemble doing what you all were
but
doing.
I think, in fact, I think we were the first to do that.
Yeah.
And at that time we were young, and I was 20 something.
Yeah.
And we were very enthusiastic to do. And to feel that we were exploring the bass, and it was quite innovating, and it was quite successful as well, because we did tour. We have recorded 7 albums. Yeah.
Wow, 7 albums.
Yeah.
I knew you'd recorded several, but 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and that's it's quite a beautiful thing, you know. And we did tour a lot and abroad. We stay 3 weeks in New York in 28.
Really, 3 weeks in New York.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was great fun. All the bass players from New York just came to the show, and we had Ron Carter invite us for a tea party, and kind of it was very, very cool.
Wow, it's great. Yeah. So I had the chance. It's great to play with you here and actually, get to sit down in person. We could have done this over Skype at some point, but it's more fun in person for sure. Yeah. And it was great to hear you play recital last night.
Good.
And one of the pieces you played was an improvisation.
Yes.
And you even said before you started, we'll see what'll happen, and all sorts of, and then you played a piece. The final piece was composition. It was by somebody.
A composition, but not finished yet. So it was more like a work in progress, I would say.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to see what happens, and because it gave me a good feedback or how to write the piece. So even it was I didn't play it exactly like I would have played it. But I like it, and also it's very. It was very fun and interesting for me because I almost never play in a solo concert. So it's something very challenging when you don't do that. You have really to think about that, and I had fun.
Well, because I know outside of L'Orchestre de Contrabass, certainly Stéphane Grappelli, right, and other people. I mean, you've done all sorts of collaborations in your career.
Yes, I've been lucky to be sign man with such stars like Stéphane Grappelli, and it was just wonderful. And I played with many French musician or also American musician like David Lindman or Bill Carruthers on piano or Kenny Wheeler on trumpet. It was full of wonderful meeting and playing with wonderful musician. But also when Stéphane Grappelli died at the end of the 90s, I just started to lead my own trio, which is now 20 years old.
Wow, 20 years old.
Yeah, and we have just recorded our 8th album, which we will come out at the fall. So it's of course it's something I really like to do, to propose personal music, and even if the form is double bass, piano, drums, which is quite a very usual form.
Right.
I like to explore many things with the bass, the kind of the way the bass can play in interaction with piano and drums, and of course using the bow or whatever, kind of thing. And
it was great to hear you explore the bow too, and that last night at the recital too, and also what you're doing in terms of improvisation with the bow. At a certain point, you picked up, and you were like near the tip. You were doing all sorts of percussive and kind of fitting that into left-hand pizzicatos, and it was just really, really interesting. And I'm assuming that a lot of your pieces, well, you're playing mostly trio and other thing, not necessarily solo bass, but for solo bass, or bass ensemble, do a lot of your ideas come out of improvisations like that?
Well, I think that it's common. I would say rather exploration than improvisation. I explore, and then after, when I find a sound which might be interesting, whatever sound it is, and I say, I have to try to make something with that, and to try to make music with this kind of sound. So the bass, the double bass is so rich. It's just unbelievable. And I am playing for more than 40 years, and sometimes, even now, sometimes I can discover, I never played that before. It's something, wow, it's wonderful. Yeah.
I was just chatting with Olivier Babaz, who's he's originally from France. He lives in Montreal now, and he does all these bowing, like jazz bowing is kind of his. He does many things, but and we were just talking, and it's like, even though you think it's this acoustic instrument, it's this horsehair, it's this things that have been used for hundreds of years, but the sounds you can still discover this instrument, like you're describing. I mean, we were talking about things, and I've been listening to him play, and I thought, like, wow, I never even thought that you could do that on a bass, in terms of like. So yeah, it's amazing what timbral possibilities there are.
Yeah, it's crazy. I like very much to improvise with the bow.
Yeah,
and which is sometimes to improvise on time. It's not that much easy. If you want to be able to improvise fast or the kind of thing, I'm working very hard on this kind of thing, and I really I'm interested with that also. Yeah.
Well, I love I love what you do, but I love the what you do like percussively on the bass. I think is super interesting, and then both like I was describing with the bow, and then all this left hand, kind of articulation, hammer-ons, and then the back length of the string and playing. And it's just really interesting.
Yes, this is something I would like to develop more.
Yeah,
I'm quite at the beginning of that, I would say. I would like to find a real independence between my right hand and my left hand, which allow me to play sometimes just something regular with a right hand on the bow, and to be free on the left hand. But I am far away from to be free. But I try, and sometimes I have fun with that.
Well, I don't know how well you know Mark Dresser, the bass player, but like Mark and I were talking about, because Mark had a bass made for him with piezo pickups. Back in,
I know about that.
It opens up a whole new sound world all of a sudden to have all those backlengths amplified like that. It's really remarkable.
Yes, I love what he's doing. Really, it's very interesting, and I would like to meet him. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance right now, but tell him, if you see him,
I will.
If he comes to Paris, just that I would like very much.
I'm sure Mark listens to the podcast, so shout out to Mark. I'm sure.
Hey, Mark, we don't know yet, but I hope very soon.
Where is most of your trio work or your other work? Are you touring throughout the year, or are you playing mostly in Paris or in Europe, or what does it look like for you?
Mostly in Europe, and in France, mostly in France, and then in Europe, and touring a little bit abroad, Africa, or coming. I was in Northampton, close to Boston last year.
Yeah,
kind of thing, but. Yes, I'm mainly my activity is to play, to be a musician, and I I just give a few lessons in my city, close to Paris, Montreuil. But so I'm touring with my trio. But I have also different bands. Another one I really enjoy to play with is a string quartet.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is with one violin, one viola, and one cello, and myself. So I pick up the place of the first of the second violin. I'll let you
That's
make
cool.
your choice. And it's I really love this sound. It's like a string quartet, so very close, but the bass adds something very deeper, and it makes, and the timbre also, another timbre, and it makes sound a very beautiful sound.
And is this music that you're writing for this ensemble? Or you're playing? Okay,
yeah.
wow.
I write all the music. So we did two CDs. First one is called Supplément d'âme, which means what can I don't know if I'm able to translate that. What is the wooden piece inside the bass?
The soundpost?
The soundpost.
The soundpost. Yeah.
Âme in French we say âme.
Okay.
This is âme, but âme is the soul as well. The soul,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting that that's the same word.
Yeah,
okay. Wow.
And so when supplément d'âme means more. Supplément, it means more or additive or something. More âme, or more soul, or more soundpost.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it's a joke. A play with words. So this is the first one, and the second came out 2 years ago, and it's called Les Idées Heureuses, Happy Ideas, or something like that. Very inspired by this French composer, Baroque French composer, François Couperin. I love François Couperin music, so I've been inspired by this, and it's a great pleasure to play with that string quartet.
Yeah.
And also I have another trio, which is a bass meeting between tuba player, saxophone bass player, and myself. So we are 3 bass players from 3 different families.
Wow, that's got to be. I got it. Yeah, I have so much of your music to explore because I didn't know that you did that, or the string quartets.
Yeah.
Wow.
I will give you one.
Okay. Well, what an interesting timbre though, with the bass saxophone and then tuba and I've never heard that combination. It must be fascinating.
It's just so sweet, so warm. It's like velvet, Just we really have a lot of fun to play together.
My former bass teacher from the Chicago Symphony, Michael Hovnanian, played in a group. It was like 5 bass players and percussion, and it was electric bass, bowed upright, electric upright, traditional upright, and it was so fun to explore that sound world. But yeah, that's remarkable. So I'm curious. People who write a lot. Do you have a practice? Do you get up and write music every day, or is it more sporadic? Like, I want to get this project, and I'm just going to write, or how does the actually composing? I'm just curious how that works for you.
Yes, I am more the kind of sporadic guy.
Yeah.
Just when I've got an idea, I like to dream. I like to, I like to let things come naturally. I like both. In fact, I like to get order or command and to have a deadline. Something like, okay, I have to do this. Okay, but I really like, and I think the thing which give me inspiration when it's a real inspiration, because I am alone with my bass or with my piano or whatever, and suddenly you never know, it could be morning, could be night, and suddenly you just play something and say, oh, it touched me. And if it touched me, I just put it in the paper immediately, and I say, I know that I will develop it later.
I have a friend Andres Martin, who's a bass composer, writes all kinds of music, but known for his bass music in Mexico. And we've chatted about recording an idea on a voice memo or something like that when it pops in your head and you're walking around, or the break kind of gig and you run and you're quickly trying to get that idea down before it goes away.
Yes, you have to, definitely. It's very important. You have to keep it in your memory, or if not in paper or whatever. To record it on your smartphone.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So you're borrowing a bass here in California right now. Yeah. Do you borrow bass a lot when you travel, or do you try to bring your own bass when you're in Europe, or how does that work?
More and more I borrow bass now, but in France I take my bass, and even in Europe when it's possible to get by train. I like to travel by train. It's very comfortable. I can work kind of in the train. I mean, doing partition.
It's very civilized.
Yeah. Yes. And so in Europe it's okay. Then some countries like when I play in Africa, I take my removable neck bass, which is otherwise it's impossible to play because there is no good bass.
Right. Yeah, it's very different. Probably going to Africa than going to the UK or New York City or something like that. What parts of Africa have you performed in?
Mainly in Senegal.
Okay. Yeah, wow. What's that? What? I've never been anywhere in Africa, but what's Senegal like? What's performing there like?
From music, it's wonderful.
Yeah,
many,
I'm sure.
I play in a band. The name of the band is African Jazz Roots. It's led by a very good friend of mine, Simon Goubert, and Ablaye Sissoko, who plays the kora and who lives in Saint Louis, Senegal. And there is Sophia Domansich on the piano. And it's great fun to this meeting between real African musician and Western musician. It's great.
What a cool project! Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
I always forget to ask people about their bass because I like to talk about life and composing, whatever. But but tell me about your bass. What do you like? You have your removable neck bass that you use sometimes. You probably, I'm guessing, have another bass that you use.
Yes, I have three basses. Okay. My main bass, my favorite bass, the one I am recording with and playing mostly in concert, is a French bass from 1850 around, which is not signed. It looks like a Vuillaume, and it's a very beautiful bass, but it's not signed, so nobody knows exactly. And otherwise, I still play my very first bass, which is a French bass from 1900, around 1900. It's called made by a luthier who was called Guyot, and this one I had Jean Heath to fix a removable neck.
Okay.
And I have a third one, like a study bass for my house in in Brittany.
Yeah. Well, and other bass geeky things. People always want to know about strings, or what do you do if you're bringing an amp? How about the rest of what you use in a typical?
Well, about strings, I'm always I've been always playing with the Thomastic Spirocco, the red one. And about the amp, more and more I try to play without amp. Yeah. But sometimes it's not possible. But I have a pickup made by a French guy whose name is Hubert Liégeois, and I like this pickup because first it's removable, so I like. And second, it's quite very good with the bow as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's a Hubert Liégeois pickup. There is no mark or special, no number or whatever, just his name, and that's it. I sometimes I use You know this kind of small mic you can put inside the bridge.
Yeah, like the one with the arm, or the
yes,
Of course, I'm blanking on the name of the
DSP
or something. Okay.
PDA.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I prefer the ProDip system, which is a French company, and I like this sound.
Yeah,
it's good.
But
it's
but
good.
no amp a lot of the time too. Just the acoustic.
As much as possible.
Of course, it's
yes,
great.
If I can play with my trio, now I play without amp as much as possible. Sometimes it's
depends.
It depends. You have, but mainly it's okay now.
Yeah.
That's,
Jean-Philippe, it's great to meet you in person.
Yeah,
let's have this be the first of many chats. I love talking to people multiple times. When the next album comes out, I have to do my homework on some of the rest of it's remarkable what you've done.
Thank you for talking together, and we're going to play together.
We're going to play together in a couple hours. It's going to be great.
Drink some beers.
And drink some beer. We will definitely do that. So, thank you. Appreciate it.